Purnell, what are you doing?
At fish store. Jerry's Exotic Fish Store. That fish store.
You're really starting to scare me.
Last time I was in PJ's room, this song came on. That fish store. Jerry's Exotic Fish Store. I haven't been able to get it out of my head. I feel like it's PJ talking to me.
It's not PJ talking to you, Purnell. It's your conscience.
Just tell me.
I will, as soon as you get in the goddamn car.
Now. Please.
We came here to buy PJ a fish for his birthday 2 years ago. You were furious with him for turning down a job at Brooks. You didn't want to buy him a birthday present, but I insisted. Can we please get in the car now?
It was a rare fish. PJ wanted it for a long time. You had to order it special, right?
Mm-hmm. Honey. Please.
Why did I care if my son didn't want to take a job? Why couldn't I just let him be my son?
Hi, Dana. Thanks for being
Hello,
here
thank
to talk
you.
about your light, frothy comedy.
Full of laughs.
Full of laughs. I saw the first episode, and it deals with so many interesting, heavy issues: religion, speaking in tongues, not assisted suicide. I don't want to use that term, but
Right.
Tell me about it and why this appealed to you.
Several reasons. Amazon, first of all, I was curious. I signed on about a year and a half ago, and it was before Transparent became the big hit that it is for Amazon. And I just, I'd been working in network for so long, I was really curious about what the interwebs entailed. What does that mean? So that was interest to me. Mark Forster directed the pilot, executive producer. He's a filmmaker who has never done television before. So I was curious to see what he was going to bring to it, and I really like his work. Ron Perlman, who I've known for years. We've never worked together. When I was on China Beach many years ago, he was on Beauty and the Beast, and we used to, be at the same functions together. And then finally, the script. Ben Watkins is a new writer, and he has this fantastical mind that just goes all these interesting places that I don't necessarily understand, but I'm fascinated by it.
And it's interesting that you and Ron know each other so well, because the relationship in the show is, well, her character is married to Ron.
Right.
And it's a very, I guess antagonistic would be a good way to describe it, relationship. Difficult, challenging. How did you guys establish that dynamic?
Well, one of the things that I like about the relationship is that it's a real marriage, that these are adults, they've been together a long time, they have respect for each other, they're going through a difficult period. They know each other well, and I like the dynamic that, as, I've always said my name describes my character, Crystal Harris. She's fake diamonds. She's totally invented herself. She married up, as he says. And so she's upwardly mobile, where he comes from money, and so she has a slightly different agenda than he does.
And what was the experience like with Amazon versus network or films?
Pretty much the same.
Oh,
yeah? The good thing is they leave you alone creatively. I certainly never got any interference about how to play my character. Whether, she had to be more likable, which is always the thing you get, especially as a woman. It was all the same, except the only thing I can think is that because Mark Forster was directing it, he had never worked with digital before, and most television is done digitally now, and he insisted on shooting on film. So that's one of the reasons why the show looks so beautiful, and it looks like a movie, because it's very rich. But so in terms of filmmaking, we've gotten a little bit lazy with digital because you can always fix things in post, and you can't do that with film. You can, but it's harder, and also it costs more money. So it's not like we did less takes, but you are aware. Like we did a gag reel, for the wrap party, and there weren't a lot of gags.
Yeah, wow.
There wasn't a lot of screwing around because that's film.
How did you? What of yourself do you see in Crystal? She's such. I mean, the show opens
Thank you. It
with.
seems like a
yeah,
movie.
it really does feel like a movie because
Yeah.
it just develops so. Like it doesn't explain itself. You have to watch and pay attention to see what happens.
Right.
But what of yourself do you see in Crystal?
Oh boy.
She's a tough cookie, that one.
Yeah. I think that she's complex. I don't know if I see anything of, well, it's me, so yeah, there's me. I mean,
You have the same hair.
Yeah, we have the same hair. I think she's, I've never been married, so that's a different experience for me of being the woman behind the man, which she is. But she, like I said, she has her own agenda, so I feel like what I relate to is that she's figuring it out all the time quietly. I said to Mark Forster, I said, I think she's always watching and figuring out what the angle is and figuring out when she should speak, when she shouldn't. And I mean, that's not me. I guess not a lot of me is in her when you ask that question.
Well,
I don't think about that much. I just play the part.
what happens what can you say happens as the season progresses?
What I love about television is how it evolves, because the writer might have one idea, and Ben is very clear about where the show is going. He's got the next 5 years figured out. But then you also have to be open to surprises, actors that do things that surprise you or directors that come in. And I think, yes, there's going to be this ongoing quest to find out who raped our son's wife, which caused our son to try to commit suicide. But there's also the politics of the town, which is going on, which I'm involved in, and there's also the family drama, and there's also the spiritual thing that's happening. And is Ron Purnell really hearing voices from God through our son? Or is he going crazy? Is it imagined? And that goes back and forth, right up to the last episode.
And he's such a corrupt, like a morally corrupt in every way. Do you think that people can change?
Yes, I do.
You
I
do?
I believe in redemption. I do.
So what do you think? Do you think he's hearing voices, or you think he's going crazy, or is he really having a religious epiphany?
I don't know. You'll have to watch. I mean, Crystal doesn't think he is. Crystal.
Yeah, she's very dubious.
Yeah, Crystal's very pragmatic, and for her, her son has tried to commit suicide. He's in a coma. She needs to make the decision that he's dead so she can move on because she's practical. If she starts believing that he's talking to her husband, silently through God, then she's going to fall apart, and she can't do that.
How do you choose your roles now? Because this one is definitely a juicy one.
Like I said, there's a lot of elements. I find sometimes it's not. The script is always first, but it's also the people that you want to work with. Life is short, and I'm at an age now where I really want to work with people who are simpatico. Otherwise, what's the point?
So I guess, if I sent you a script, what type of character would resonate with you?
Well, pretty much, I've said this before, I was so spoiled by China Beach, which was years ago, and that was a very three-dimensional character, and so I need that. I can't, you could look at Crystal and say, oh, she's the wife part, but she's so much more than that, and it's my job to find those layers.
And I mean, truthfully, every woman that you're going to play is either going to be a daughter, a wife, or a mother, or something.
Well,
that doesn't diminish the character.
No, it's funny. Men don't get that archetype thing all the time. We tend to be, as women, the wife, the mother, or the whore, and there's got to be more to life than that. And the whole Bechtel test, which I'm sure you're aware of. I don't know if you guys are aware of that, but it's Alison Bechtel came up with it, where if two women are in a scene together, Are they having a conversation about something other than a man? You know, that's the basic. There's other layers to it, but and that's hard. There's not many scripts that pass that test.
Do you find that things, and I know this is such a general question, so I apologize if you want to like throw your mic at my face, but do you find that things have gotten better in Hollywood, or is it still kind of the same? That, you know, there's 1 in 100 good roles?
I think things have definitely gotten better in television for everyone, men and women. Television's great, which I always believed. I think things have gotten worse in feature films for women, unless it's an indie, you know, where you don't make any money. But a studio movie, it's economics for them, and they want those boys to come see the movie that are going to go see it 5 times, and they don't think they want to see girls. So yeah, it's worse for studio movies.
And it's interesting, too, when you look at this summer, because some of the breakouts are Straight Outta Compton, Pitch Perfect 2, and those are movies that, you know, are not Marvel, and don't have superheroes, and yet...
And it seems like these movies happen over and over again, but the studios still don't believe it. You know, I mean, you know, Bridesmaids.
It's a one-off. It'll never happen again.
Yeah, and now they're doing Ghostbusters, and they do happen.
They do happen. Yeah, it must be. I've always thought it's so frustrating. I mean, I've written so many of those stories. Is there a sea change in Hollywood? And then it's still all Marvel all the time.
Which is disappointing because there's a lot of women who are running studios. Yeah.
But I guess, you know, that's why so many people are migrating to TV, because look at this.
And thank God there's more outlets, so there's more places, because otherwise some movie star would take my next job.
We cannot have that. Where do you want to see Crystal go?
Well, the ending takes her in a whole other place. So that at the end of the 10 episodes, at least, and which surprised me. And I don't even think that Ben had planned that. So she'll be in a completely different world next season.
Really?
If we come back, yeah.
Better or worse?
Depends on how you look at it.
I'm just curious about Ron's character and what is, like, literally whether he's losing his mind or whether this is just all a ploy.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, I know the audience has some questions for you, so.
Hey, Dana. First of all, loved you in China Beach. So glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
Love the shoes.
Thank you. I want you to know I got these at duty free in the airport.
There we go. So my question for you is, you're very active for the LGBT community and very active for Planned Parenthood. Can you tell me why you're so passionate about those 2 important things?
Oh, thank you for asking. Well, I've been involved with Planned Parenthood for quite a long time, partly because, you know, I grew up in the 70s, and when I was a child, abortion was not legal. And so I saw what it was like when you could not get an abortion, and I truly believe that it is a woman's private right to choose. And nobody said abortion was easy, nobody wants one, but I think it's our decision to make. And besides that, Planned Parenthood doesn't just do abortions, even though
Critical preventative care.
there's a certain side that would like you to believe that. I mean, they do have a lot to do with reproductive health and birth control so that nobody needs an abortion. And so it's that cyclical thing of, you know, why don't we prevent people getting pregnant so you don't have to pay for them when they have unwanted children? And I also played Margaret Sanger in a movie about the beginnings of Planned Parenthood, which she started, and I think she's a hero. I know to some people she's controversial, but to me she's a hero. And for the LGBTQXY, I mean, there's so many letters now, I can't keep it straight. My God, freedom to choose. Isn't that what life is about? And respect for your fellow human being? Yeah. And I also think, I mean, we live in a very exciting time right now. I just met Laverne Cox, and she was fabulous and so smart, and what she's doing is so important, and she's doing it in such a smart way that is just the beginning, I think. Thank you.
So your line of work resides heavily in television. Is there an aspect of performing on a television show that you find particularly fulfilling?
I like the evolution of the character. I like that you don't play the same person every day, that they're constantly evolving, something new is happening to them, they're changing. And I also like the family aspect that you get on a TV show with the crew and the actors. It really becomes your home. And I like just going to work every day thinking, what's going to happen today? I still get excited about it. I really do. And I feel so lucky that I get to do what I love.
Hi, are there any particular stories you'd want to see on the screen that you've thought about or would want to be involved in?
Yes. There's so many interesting female characters historically that have not been, their stories have not been told yet. One I can think of right now was Edith Wilson, who was married to the president, Woodrow Wilson. It's this story that not everybody knows about. There was a period of time when he was president that he was pretty much out. He was sick. He might have been in a coma, I believe, and she was pretty much running the country, and nobody knew it.
Oh, wow.
And so that's a good story that hasn't been told yet. Things like that,
Last question.
Hey, Dana, thanks so much for being here today. I just want to ask you, you've done a lot of really cool voice acting work, especially in the DC universe. Mm-hmm. How did you get into that, and how is that different from working on camera?
Oh, I love doing that. That was fluke. I'm friends with Arlene Sorkin. I don't know if you know who she is. She started out in daytime. She was on One Life to Live. But she's known as the voice, or was the voice of Harley Quinn in the Superman Batman. She's the Joker's sidekick. And she's friends with Paul Dini, who was writing Mask of the Phantasm, which was a feature animated movie that came out in the 90s. And she suggested me for that, and I went in and auditioned for it and got the part, and I loved doing it. And that was Paul Dini and Bruce Timm. And Bruce Timm, anybody who knows, comics knows he's a god. And they then created the Superman animated series for Warner Brothers. So they said, do you want to audition for Lois Lane? And that was another dream come true, because I grew up reading Superman comics. And Lois Lane has been a heroine to me. And, Lois Lane started back in the 30s, and she's always been a career girl, and I think subconsciously I somehow modeled my life after Lois Lane. And when I would go to church on Sundays when I was a kid, back then comics were a dime. And so the big thrill was after church, you'd go to the drugstore and you'd get to buy your comics. And when I was a kid, Lois Lane had her own comic. This was when she was early feminist, and she had her own comic. And so when I got to actually audition to play her, I remember it was a scene in the pilot where she looks up at a picture of Superman, and he's just emerged in Metropolis. And she looks up at a picture of him, and she says, he's there in the air, and she goes, "Nice S." And I thought, I like this character. And I thought, even if I don't get the part, just to be able to say that was enough. But then I got the part, and I did it for several years with Tim Daly playing Superman, and it was so much fun because it's like old radio. They try to get all the actors in the room together, and you just act with your voice, and it's so freeing. You don't have to wear makeup. You don't have to get dressed, and it's just really fun, really good. Although a lot of my stuff as Lois was I was just screaming a lot, because in every episode she somehow got herself in trouble and would be falling from the sky and screaming, and then Superman would have to scoop her up.
Well, I have to tell you, I have a 4-year-old, and we have that. It's on Netflix.
Yeah.
And it's on all the time.
Oh,
so
good.
you're part of my subconscious.
Good, I'm glad.
And I think we have time for probably one more question.
Oh, yes.
Of
yes.
course.
Hand of God premieres on Amazon September 4th, and as they say now, it drops on, which is kind of a weird phrase. Drops like a turd on September 4th. No, I didn't say that.
The first scene is quite the drop, I have to say.
No, drops on, premieres September 4th, and you can do the whole binge watching thing. All 10 episodes will be up if you want to. I personally am not a binge watcher. No, I like to parse it out. I like delayed gratification. I like to think about it and then wait for it. So I go, oh, I wonder what's going to happen next. That's
Okay, and I have one final question for you before we let you get on with your day. What is your ultimate TV guilty pleasure? 1 a.m., you can't sleep.
Oh, That's a good question. John Hamm, I'd say.
Ain't nothing guilty about that.
I save old episodes of Mad Men on my TiVo. I say particular episodes of Mad Men on my TiVo.
John Hamm is a national treasure.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, and thank you, Dana.
Thank you. Thank you.